retro game prices, for the first time in a long time, could go down. But for a really shitty reason. Hello, and welcome to Big Jim Gaming. I do enjoy my retro gaming, because I remember when it was new. I love you, and I love you, and let's just be friends. And prices have been rising slowly but steadily for a good few years now. The biggest rise in retro prices actually started during the second quarter of 2020. Do you remember that? Lockdown. We were all stuck in our homes, we had free time we didn't know what to do with, we couldn't go out and do what we normally would do because we were locked in. We found new hobbies, and a lot of us turned to gaming. And a lot of people who hadn't played games for quite a while turned to the retro, but prices have been rising ever since. Now, yes, there is always the typical sales equation. It's the supply and demand one. There's a finite supply of retro games, of course long out of print, and there seems to be a really high demand right now, and that has helped, of course, drive prices up. Also, a few other really good reasons. You see, you've got people like me. I'm in my mid-30s now, started off with the Sega Mega Drive and the Game Boy Color. I've never had a break from the gaming, I've always had consoles in my life. I've got rather too many now probably, but I enjoy revisiting the old as well as the new. You've also got people who maybe have had a break from gaming for a while, and they want to revisit some of their favourite childhood memories. One of my favourite things about retro gaming is revisiting those games, the ones I loved, the ones that helped shape my childhood, and also playing the games I didn't get to play back then, because pocket money only went so far. And whilst there are still some bargains to be found, I got that a few weeks ago, you also get your middle of the road ones climbing over £100, and you'd be surprised how many do that, to your, quite frankly, ridiculous. And because retro gaming has been getting a bit more press, a lot more interest, it's inspiring more people to buy. Now, of course, the price of a game isn't just on rarity. It's on condition, if it's in its original box or case, if you've got the instruction manual, if it's complete or not. But also now, you've got video game grading, and a high grade, well, that can really cinch a price for you. Play on Google for the most expensive video games that have been sold. You'll find a retro game, I think it was a Mario one, which was sealed, factory condition, and it went for millions. It's bonkers. And people are seeing that as an investment now, something to own and have and keep for the future, as well as just with more interest, more people wanting those games to experience and play. And I genuinely do believe as well, there's a lot more gamers in the world now. When I first started playing games at the age of, I think I was 8 or 9, it was mainly that generation that played games. The school kids. There were a few adults, of course, the really cool ones, but mainly the school kids. So game purchases were restricted to either you saved up your pocket money or your money from doing your paper round, Christmas and birthdays. My generation, we're still gamers, we're still buying, but obviously the younger generations are buying as well. There's just a bigger audience. And as for setting the price of a game, well, look at what it sold for last. Add a little bit, you might get away with it, and you get yourself a really good result if you're a seller. All of these things are contributing, and I know there's more besides. Let me know what you think is contributing to the price rise in retro games in the comments below. Typey. But it's all contributed to a rising market. So why do I think retro gaming prices could go down in 2023? Well, as I said in my intro, it's a really bad reason. Really sad, actually. I'm sure it's not escaped your attention that there's not a lot of money around at the moment. We are in a cost of living crisis. It's official. The government's even throwing those words around quite freely. When you're a bit tight, you're a bit hard up, you sell your luxury items. I had to do this a couple of years ago. About 2 years ago, bit skint, needed some money. I sold my PlayStation Vita collection. Something had to go, so I sold the one that I didn't use anymore. So we've all been there, and that means people sitting on these retro video games, because a lot of people who own them are collectors as opposed to players, which is understandable. There's cash sitting on the shelf. You need the money, you'll sell it. That's going to cause a bigger supply. Remember what I said about the supply and demand equation? If it's like this and the supply suddenly rises, but the demand does not, prices go down, or at least stop going up. And on that note of the cost of living crisis, People are spending less on luxuries now. Not just games, on all the luxuries. I myself am being a lot more careful with money than I used to be, because I'm always skint. I've gone from poor now to super poor. Luxury items, unless you're talking things in the hundreds of thousands which are only the purview of the super rich anyway, they're the first thing people cut back on. It makes common sense. So you might just find, when looking at the retro games, a bit more for sale next year. And if there's more competition, price is a bit more favourable. Now, I'm all for retro video games becoming more accessible, because there's quite a lot of titles I want and simply can't rationalise the price for. Can't afford, and even if I could do something better with the money. But what an absolutely rubbish reason for it to happen. People collecting, enjoying these things. You get up, you go to work, you come home, you rinse, you repeat, you die. That's human life. Your hobbies, your passions, like your retro games, well, they're part of what make life enjoyable. And having to part with that for a really, really rubbish situation, which I know the whole world is in, it sucks. I'm not going to get political here, I don't do that, but it sucks. And it shouldn't be. But if you do find yourself in the fortunate position where you do want to splash out a little bit and build that retro collection, next year could be your time. We'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I really do love to hear from you all. That's why I'm always mentioning the comments. So please let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think is going to happen. Just say hi. I'll say hi back. Until next time, there's a new video coming soon. Watch this space.